Good evening, everyone. Welcome and welcoming. We get started for a change 5 minutes early for a change. Usually we are 10 minutes late or something. But today it looks like everyone who's meant to be here are here. So we get started. Thank you very much once again, everyone, for your time and diligence and kind company. This is very important that we have each other. So we are currently reading the Vishuddhimagga, which is Path of Purification, which is classical writing by Buddhagosha, which covers some of the fundamental teachings of the Buddha. So before we start, we will do the tune-up of our prayer for motivation, inclusion of all others, and future, and our mind, because the mind go wild without these teachings. So therefore we are packing these teachings so the mind does not get away without some kind of consideration of what one has been listening to, reading and reflecting. The more we do these three, that much the mind remembers some good that it can do. So these are really great provisions, your well-being and happiness and sanity and thoughtfulness. So before we do that, we are doing these teachings to pay homage to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, the qualities of which are inestimable. So to reflect briefly on their qualities and how much they mean to us, how much we can employ in life situation and rejoicing them and expressing our deepest sense of gratitude, that you could not really find words to do it. It's usually done by saying these prayers. And it has a really blessed message. So let's do that. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Acharya Virya Eladama Vacha Ajendala Acharya Buddha Vajra Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Acharya Virya Eladama Vacha Ajendala Acharya Buddha Vajra Enda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Acharya Virya Eladama Vacha Ajendala Acharya Buddha Vajra Enda Buddha Dharma Sangha Acharya Virya Vacha Ajendala Acharya Buddha Vajra. Happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness that no suffering, may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. and for well-being, happiness, and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the snare and for well-being, happiness, and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to the snare and fall according to the intelligence and predisposition of it. The Dharma agrelo come. So we're currently reading chapter 14, description of the 5 aggregates, which is about to begin today, but first is 29. Others have said, our prior effort and great knowledge, knowledge of dialects of scriptures, and questioning, and then achievement, and likewise waiting on our teacher, success in friends, these are conditions productive of discrimination. Here prior effort is the same as that already stated. Great learning is skill in some science or sphere of craft. Dialects means skill in the 101 tongues, particularly in that of Magadha. Scriptures means mastery of the Buddha's word, even if one of the chapter of similes. Questioning is about defining the meaning of even single stanza. Achievement is a stream entry and artistship. Waiting on a teacher is living with learned, intelligent teachers. Success in friends is acquisition of friends such as that. Here in the Buddhas and the undeclared Buddhas reach the discrimination nation through prior effort and through achievement. Disciples do so through all these means, and there is no special way of developing a meditation subject in order to attain discrimination. But in trainers, the attainment of the discrimination comes from the next upon the liberation consisting in trainees' fruition, and non-returners it does so next upon the liberation consisting of non-trainees' fruition. For discrimination come to success in noble ones only through noble fruition as the 10 powers do in perfect ones. So these were the discriminations referred to when it was said above it is of 4 kinds as the 4 discrimination. 4. How is it developed? Now, the things classed as aggregates, bases, elements, faculties, truths, dependent origination, etc., are the soil of this understanding, and the first two purification, namely purification virtue and purification conscience, are the roots, while the 5 purification, namely purification view, purification overcoming doubt, purification by knowledge and the vision of what is path and what is not path, purification by knowledge and vision of the way, purification by knowledge and the view are the trunk. Consequently, one who is perfecting these should first fortify his knowledge by learning and questioning about those things that are the soil. After he has perfected the 2 purification that are roots, then he can develop the 5 purification that are the trunk. This is the brief, and the detail is as follows. So now comes the real description of the 5 aggregates. B. The description of 5 aggregates. First, the material aggregate, the Rupa Skandha. When it was said that above the things classed as aggregates, bases, elements, faculties, truth, dependent origination, etc., are the soil, the aggregates here are 5 aggregates, that is to say, material aggregate, what we usually translate as form aggregate, the feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, formation aggregate. Formation is actually volition, mental volition, and consciousness aggregate. Herein, all kinds of states whatsoever that have the characteristic of being molested by cold, etc., taken together should be understood as materiality aggregate, meaning the main formed by they're like cold makes things to solidify, so the forms are solidify things, like even water would solidify into form. Like water is wet, but it is solidified by cold, then becomes hard. Rupa means solidified. So it's aggregation of things. Like many drops of water can become a ball of ice, for instance. That is one kind with the characters being molten. I misread. 2. It is also of 2 kinds when classed as primary entity. Primary entity means elements, Buddha, and derived by clinging. The upadaya means derive means produce. Here, a primary materiality is of 4 kinds, as the earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. Their characteristic, function, and manifestation have been given under the definition of the 4 elements. Already we discussed in chapter 11. But as to the proximate cause, each has the other 3 as its proximate cause. Second, B, derived materialities is 24 kinds, as eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, visible datum, sound, odor, flavor, femininity faculty, masculinity faculty, life faculty, heart basis, bodily intimation, verbal intimation, space element, lightness of the matter, malleability of the matter, the wilderness of matter, growth of matter, continuity of matter, aging of matter, impermanence of matter, and physical nutriment. Herein, eye's characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements that is ready for impact of visual data, or its characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements originated by karma, sourcing from desire to see. Its function.
What verse are we on, please?
Huh?
What verse are we on?
37.
Thank you.
On page 489. We just finished that. Now we move to second half of that. Up, an object among visible data, it is manifested as the footing of I consciousness. Its proximate cause is primary elements born of karma, sourcing from desire to see. The ear's characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements that is ready for impact of sounds, or its characteristic sensitivity of primary elements originated by karma, sourcing from desire to hear. Its function is to pick up an object among sounds. It is manifested as the footing of the ear consciousness. Its proximate cause is primary element born of karma, sourcing from desire to hear. 3. The nose's characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements that is ready of the impact of odors, or its characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements originated by karma sourcing from desire to smell. Its function is to pick up an object among odors. It is manifested as the footing of nose consciousness. Its approximate cause is primary elements born of karma sourcing from desire to smell. 4. The tongues. The tongue's characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements that is ready for the impact of flavors. For its characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements originated by karma sourcing from desire to taste. Its function is to pick up an object among flavors. It is manifested as the footing of tongue consciousness. Its approximate cause is primary elements born of karma sourcing from desire to taste. 5. The body's characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements that is ready for the impact of a tangible data. For its characteristic is sensitivity of primary elements originated by karma sourcing from desire to touch. Its function is to pick up an object amongst tangible data. It is manifested as the footing of bodily consciousness. Its approximate cause is primary elements born of karma sourcing from desire to touch. Some, however, say that the eye is sensitive to primary elements that have fire in excess, and that ear, nose, tongue are sensitive to primary elements that have respectively air, water, and water in excess, and that is bodily. The bodily is that four equally. Others say that the eye is sensitivity to those that are fire in excess, that ear, nose, tongue, body are sensitive to those that have respectively aperture, air, water, earth in excess. They should be asked to quote a sutta. They will certainly not find one. 43. But some give as their reason that it is because the several sensitivities are respectively aided by visible data, etc., as qualities of fire and so on. They should be asked who has said the visible data, etc., are quality of fire and so on? For it is not possible to say primary elements which remain always inseparable, that this is quality of one, this is quality of that. Then we may say, just as you assume from excess of some primary element in such as material things, the respective function of upholding, etc., for earth, etc. So from finding visibility, etc., respectively in the state of excess in material things that have fire in excess, one may assume the visual data, etc., are respectively quality of these. They should be told, we might assume it if there were more order in cotton, which has earth in excess, than in fermented liquor, what has water in excess, and if the color of the cold water was weaker than the odor of the hot water, which has heat in excess. But since neither of these is a fact, you should therefore give up conjecturing the difference to be in the supporting primary elements, just as the nature, visible object, etc., are dissimilar from each other, though there is no difference in primaries that form a single group, so too are eye sensitivity, etc., though no other cause of their difference exists. This is how it should be taken. But what is it that is not common in all of them? It is karma itself that is the reason for their difference. Therefore, their difference is due to their difference of karma, not to difference of primary elements. For if there were a difference in primary elements, sensitivity itself would not arise, since the sense and ancients have said the sensitivity is of those that are equal, not of those that are unequal. Now, 46. Now, among those sensitivities thus possessed of difference due to difference of karma, the eye and ear apprehend non-contagious objects, fields, since consciousness is cause, even if the supporting primaries of the objective fields do not adhere to the faculties on supporting primaries. The nose, tongue, and body are apprehend contagious object fields because object consciousness is caused only by their objective fields, primary adhere to their own supporting primaries. That is to say, the objective fields primary adhere as a support in case of odors and flavors themselves directly in the case of tangible data, which are identical with the three primary excluding water. 47. 1. There is what is called I in the world that looks like a blue lotus petal and is surrounded by black eyelashes and varied with dark and light circles. The eye sensitivity is meant here is to be found in the place of the middle of a black circle surrounded by a white circle in that feature of the eye with the accessories where there appears the image of a bodies of those who stand in front of it. It pervades the eye 7 layers like oil sprinkled on 7 layers of cotton. It is assisted by the 4 primary elements whose respective function are upholding, cohering, maturing, and moving. So these are 4 elements. Earth is upholding, water is cohering, fire is maturing, and air is moving. As a warrior prince is by 4 nurses whose functions are holding, bathing, dressing, and fanning. It is consolidated by temperature, consciousness, and nutriment. It is maintained by life. It is furnished by color, order, and flavor, etc. It is the size of a mere louse's head, and its duty serves both as physical basis and so did you know that the mere louse's head is the eye that I'm talking about, and duly serves both as physical basis and as an eye consciousness, and the rest of the consciousness of the cognitive series. 48. And this is said by the general of Dharma. The sensitivity with which he sees a visible object is small and is subtle, 2, no bigger than a louse's head. 2. The ear. Ear sensitivity is to be found inside the feature of an ear hole with its accessories in the place that is shaped like a finger stole and surrounded by fine brown hairs. It is assisted by the elements of in the way aforesaid. It is consolidated by temperature, conscious, and nutriment, and is maintained by life. It is equipped with color, etc., and is duly serves both as a physical basis and as door for ear consciousness and the rest. 3. The nose. The nose sensitivity is to be found inside the feature of the nose hole with its accessory in the place shaped like a goat's hoof. It has assistance, consolidation, and maintenance in the way aforesaid, and is duly serves both as a physical basis and a door for nose consciousness and the rest. 4. Tongue. Tongue sensitivity is to be found in the middle of the feature of the tongue with its characteristic in the place shaped like a lotus petal tip. It has assistance, consolidation of maintenance and in the way aforesaid, and is duly served both as a physical basis and a door for tongue consciousness and the rest. 5. The body. The body sensitivity is to be found everywhere like a liquid that soaks a layer of cotton. In this physical body where there is matter, there is klang too. It has assistant, consolidation, maintenance in the way aforesaid too, and it duly serves as a basic physical basis and the door for physical consciousness and the rest. Like snakes, crocodiles, birds, dogs, jackals that gravitates to their own respective resorts, that is to say, anthills, water, space, villages, and charnel grounds, so the eye, etc., should be regarded as gravitating to their own respective resort, that is to say, visible data, and so on. 6. As regards visible data, etc., which come next to the visible datum, has the characteristic of impinging on the eye. Its function is to be objective field of eye consciousness. It is manifested as a result of that too. Its approximate cause is the 4 great primaries, and all the following kinds of derived materiality are the same as this. Where there is a difference, we shall mention. This visible datum is various kinds, blue, yellow, and so on. 7. The sound sound has the characteristic of an ear. Its function is to be object of ear consciousness. It is manifested as a result of that too. It is a various kinds of drum sound, tabor sound, and so on. 8. Odor has the characteristic of impinging on the nose. Its function is to be the object of a nose consciousness. It is manifested as a result of that too. It is of various kinds, root odor, hardwood odor, and so on. 9. Flavor. Flavor has the characteristic of impinging on the tongue. Its function is to be the object of tongue consciousness. It is manifested as the result of that too. That is, it is of various kinds, root flavor, trunk flavor, and so on. 10. The femininity faculty has the feminine sex as its characteristic. Its function is to show that that this is a female. It is manifested as the reason for the mark, sign, work, and ways of the female. 11. Masculine faculty has the male sex as its characteristic. Its function is to show that it is the male. It is manifested as the reason for the mark, sign, work, and ways of the male. Both these last are coexistent with whole body as body sensitivity is. But it does not follow that they have to be called either located in the space where bodily sensitivity is located or located in the space where that is not located, like the nature of the visible data, etc. They are not confoundable one with the other. 12. The life faculty has the characteristic of maintaining connaissance kinds of matter. Its function is to make them occur. It is manifested in the establishing of their presence. Its proximate cause is primary element that are to be sustained. And although it has the capacity consisting in the characteristic of maintaining, etc., yet it only maintains connaissance kinds of matter at the moment of presence, as water does for lotuses, and so on. Those states, Dhamma, arise due to their own conditions. It maintains them as the wet nurse does a prince, and it occurs itself only through its connection with the states that occur, like a pilot. It does not cause occurrence after dissolution because of its own absence and that of what has been made to occur. It does not prolong presence the moment of dissolution because it is itself dissolving like flame of a lamp when the wick of the oil are getting used up. But it must not be regarded as destitute of power to maintain, make occur, or make present, because it does accomplish each of these functions at the moment stated. 13. The heart basis is the characteristic of being the material support for mind element, for the mind consciousness element. Its function is to observe them. It is manifested as the carrying of them. It is to be found in dependence on the blood, or the kind of described in the treatise of mindfulness of the body. Inside the heart, it is assisted by the primaries with their function of upholding, etc. It is consolidated by temperature, consciousness, and nutriment. It is maintained by life, and it serves as a physical base for the mind element, mind consciousness element, and for the states associated with them. 14. Bodily intimation is mode confirmation and alteration, deformation in the consciousness originated element and cause the occurrence of moving forward, etc. Which mode and alterations are a condition for the stiffening, upholding, and moving of the connaissance material body. Its function is to display intention. It is manifested as a cause of bodily excitement. Its proximate cause is the consciousness originated element, but it is called bodily intimation, kaya vinyati, because it is the cause of the intimating of intention of means of bodily excitement, and because it is itself intimatable through the body, in other words, through the bodily excitement. Moving forward, etc., should be understood to occur owing to the movement of the kind of matter that are temperature-born, etc., which are interlocked with the consciousness-born kinds moved by that intimation. 62 or 15. Verbal intimation is a mode, confirmation, and alteration, deformation in the consciousness-originated earth element that cause that occurrence of speech utterance, which mode and alteration are a condition of for the knocking together of clung to matter. Its function is to display intention. It is manifest as the cause of the voice of speech. Its proximate cause is the consciousness-originated earth element, but is called verbal intimation because it is the cause of the intimating of intention by means of the voice in speech, and because it is itself intimatable through speech, in other words, through the voice in speech. For just as on seeing sign for water consisting of an ox skull, etc., hung up in the forest, it is intimated that there is water here. So too, on noticing either the bodily shaking or the voice is speech, thus they intimate. 16. The space element has the characteristics of delimiting matter. Its function is to display the boundaries of a matter. It is manifested as the confines of the matter, and it is manifested as untouchedness, as the state of gaps and apertures. Its approximate cause is the matter delimited, and it is on account of it that one can say of material things delimited, that this is above, below, around, that. Number 17. Lightness of matter has the characteristics of non-slowness. Its function is to dispel heaviness of matter. It is manifested as a light transformability. Its proximate cause is light matter. 18. Malleability of matter has the characteristic of non-stiffness. Its function is to dispel stiffness of matter. It is manifested as a non-opposition to any kind of action. Its proximate cause is malleable matter. 19. Wildness of matter has the characteristic of wildness that is favorable to the bodily action. Its function is to dispel unwieldiness. It is manifested as non-weakness. Its proximate cause is wieldy matter. These three, however, are not found apart from each other. Still, their difference may be understood as follows. Lightness of matter is alternation of matter, such as any light state in material instances, as in one who is healthy, any non-sureness, and any manner of light transformability in them, which is originated by a condition that prevent any disturbance of elements are capable of creating sluggishness of matter. Malleability of matter is alternation of matter, such as any malleable state in material instance, as in well-pounded hide, any pliable manner consisting of amenableness to exercise of power over them in all kinds of work without distinction, which is originated by a condition that prevent any disturbance of elements capable of creating stiffness of matter. Wieldiness of matter is alternation of matter, such as any wieldy state in material instances, as in well-defined gold. Any manner in them consisting of favorableness to the work of body, which is originated by a condition that prevent any disturbance of elements capable of creating unfavorableness to the work of the body. 20. The growth of matter has the characteristic of setting up. Its function is to make material instances emerge. In the first instances, it is manifested as launching, for it is manifested as the completed state. Its approximate cause is grown matter. 21. Continuity of matter has the characteristic of occurrence. Its function is to anchor. It has manifested as non-interruption. Its proximate cause is matter that is to be anchored. Both of these are terms for matter at its birth, but owing to difference of mode and according to different persons' susceptibility to instruction, the teaching in the summary Upadesha and in the Dhamma Sangam is given in the growth and continuity. But since there is here no difference in meaning, consequently in the description Nidesha of these words, setting up of the sense base is the growth of the matter. The growth of matter is continuity of matter, said. But in the commentary, after moving, its genesis is called setting up, increasing, that is called growth, occurrence, that is called continuity. This simile is given. Genesis as setting up is like time when water comes up in the whole duct in the riverbank. Increase as growth is like time when it fills the hole. Occurrence as continuity is like the time when it overflows. And at the end of the simile, it is said. So what is stated? Setting up is stated by sense base. Sense base is stated. Setting up is stated by sense base. Sense base stated by setting up. Consequently, it is the first genesis of material instances that is there setting up. Setting up, the genesis also of others that are generated in addition to these is growth, since it appears in the aspect of increase. Repeated genesis, also that of others, are generated in addition to those, is continuity, since it appears in the aspect of anchoring. This is how it should be understood to have been declared thus. 22. Aging has the characteristic of maturing, ripening material instances. Its function is to lead towards their termination. It is manifested as the loss of newness without the loss of individual essence, like oldness in paddy. Its proximate cause is matter that is maturing, ripening. This is said in reference to the kind of aging that is evident through seeing alteration in teeth, etc., as their brokenness and so on. But that of immaterial state, which has no such visible alteration, is called hidden aging, and that is earth, water, rocks, moon, sun, is called incessant aging. 23. Impermanence of matter has the characteristic of complete breaking up. Its function is to make a material instance subside. It is manifested as a distraction and fall. Its approximate cause is matter that is completely breaking up. 24. Physical nutriment has the characteristic of a nutritive essence. Its function is to feed kinds of matter. It is manifested as consolidating. Its proximate cause is the case physical basis that must be fed with physical food. It is termed for nutritive essence, by means of which living beings sustain themselves. 71. These, firstly, are the material instances that have been handed down in the text, but in the commentary others have been added as follows: matter as power, matter as procreation, matter as birth, matter as sickness, and its opinion of same matter as torpor. In the first place, matter as torpor is rejected as non-existing by the words. Surely thou art the sage enlightened. There are no hindrances in thee. As to the rest, matter as sickness is included by aging and by impermanence. Matter as birth as by growth and continuity. Matter as procreation by the water element. Matter as power by the air element. So taken separately, not even one of these exists. This was the agreement reached. So this derived matter of 24 sorts and the aforesaid matter of primary elements, which is of 4 sorts, together amount 28 sorts, neither more nor less, and all that matter of 28 sorts is one kind of not root cause less, dissociate from root cause, with conditions, mundane, subject to cankers, and so on. It is of 2 kinds, as internal and external, gross and subtle, fear and far and near, produced and unproduced, sensitive matter and insensitive matter, faculty and non-faculty, and clung to and non-clung to, and so on. 23. Here, the 5 kinds of beginning with I are internal because they occur as an integral part of the selfhood in one self. The rest are external because they are external to that selfhood personality. The 9 beginning with I's and the 3 elements, except the water element, making 12 kinds in all, are to be taken as gross because of impinging. The rest are subtle because they are the opposite of that. What what is subtle is far because it is difficult to penetrate, and the other is near because it is easy to penetrate. The 18 kinds of matter, that is to say, 4 elements, the 13 beginning with I and physical nutriment, are produced because they can be discerned through their individual essences, having exceeded the purely conceptual states of matter as a different delimitation, matter as alteration, and matter as characteristic. The rest being opposite are unproduced. The 5 kinds beginning with eyes are sensitive matter through their being conditioned for the apprehensible visual data, etc., because they are, as it were, bright like the surface of the looking glass, and the rest are insensitive matter because they are opposite of that. Sensitive matter itself, together with the 3 beginning with the femininity faculty, is faculty of the self predominance. The rest are not faculty because they are opposite of that. But what we shall later describe the karma born and is clung to because it is clung to, that is acquired by karma. The rest are not clung to because they are the opposite of that. 74. Again, all matter is 3 kinds of according to the visible Sanidasana triad and karma-born triad, etc. Herein, with regards to gross visible datum, is visible with impact. The rest are invisible with impact. All the subtle kinds of invisible without impact. So, firstly, it is 3 kinds according to the visible triad. According to the karma triad, etc. However, that born from karma is karma born, that born from the condition other than that is not karma born, and that not born from anything, neither karma born nor not karma born. That form from consciousness to conscious born, that born from condition other than the consciousness, not condition, not consciousness born, and not born from anything is neither consciousness born nor not consciousness born. That born from nutriment is nutriment born. That born from condition other than that is not nutriment born. That not born from anything is neither nutriment nor not nutriment born. That born from temperature is temperature born. That born from condition other than that is non-temperature born. That not born from anything is neither temperature born nor not temperature born. So these are the 4 extremes. So it is of 3 kinds according to the karma datum triad and so on. Again, it is of 4 kinds as seen, etc., as concrete matter, etc., and as the physical base triad and so on. Herein, the visible data base is seen because it is the objective field of seeing. The sound base is heard because it is the objective field of hearing. The 3, that is to say, order, flavors, and tangible, are contacted because they are the objective fields of faculty that take contagious objective fields. The rest are cognized because they are the objective field of consciousness only. So, firstly, it is 4 kinds according to the seen, etc., tetrad. However, produced matter is concrete matter. The space element is delimiting matter. Those with bodily intimation up to the wieldiness are matter in alteration. Birth, aging, and dissolution are matter as characteristic. So it is of 4 kinds of concrete matter and so on. 78. Here, however, what is called materiality of the heart is physical basis, not door. The 2 intimations are door, the physical basis. Sensitive matter is both physical basis and the door. The rest are neither physical basis nor door. So, it is 4 kinds according to the physical basis tetrad. Again, it is of 5 kinds as born of 1, born of 2, born of 3, born of 4, and not born of anything. Here, what is karma born only, or consciousness born only, is called born by 1. Of these, materiality is faculty. Materiality of the faculty, together with the heart base, is karma born only. The 2 intimation are are conscious born only. But what is born now of consciousness and born now of temperature is called born of two. That is the sound base only. What is basis of temperature, consciousness, and nutriment is called born of three. But that which is three beginning with lightness only, what is the born with the four beginning with the karma is called born of four. That is all the rest except matter as characteristic. But matter as characteristic is called not born of anything. Why? Because there is no arising of arising, and the other two are mere maturing and breaking up of what has arisen. Though in this passage, the visible database, sound base, order base, flavor base, and tangible database, space element of water element, lightness of matter, malleability of matter, wieldiness of matter, growth of matter, continuity of matter, and physical food. These states are consciousness originated, and so on, a state of birth, that is growth, being born from somewhere can be understood as allowable, since a point of view here is moment when the conditions that are giving birth to the kinds of materiality is exercising their function. This firstly is the section of the detailed explanation dealing with the materiality aggregate. Now, the consciousness aggregate. Among the remaining aggregates, however, whatever has the characteristic of being felt should be understood, all taken together as feeling aggregate, and whatever has the characteristic of perceiving, all taken together as perception aggregate, and whatever has the characteristic of forming, all taken together as the formation aggregate, and whatever has the characteristic of cognizing, all taken together as consciousness aggregate. Herein, since the rest are easy to understand when the consciousness aggregate has been understood, we shall therefore begin with the commentary on the consciousness aggregate. Whatever has the characteristic of cognizing should be understood, all taken together as the consciousness aggregate as said above. And what has the characteristic of cognizing? Consciousness according as it is said, it cognizes friend, that is why consciousness is said. The word vijnana, consciousness, chitta, mind, consciousness, and mano, mind, are one in meaning. 89 kinds of consciousness. That same consciousness, though one in its individual essence, with the characteristic of cognizing, is threefold according to, namely, profitable, unprofitable, and indeterminate. One, herein the profitable is fourfold according to plane, namely A, sense sphere, B, fine material sphere, 3, of the immaterial sphere, and D, supermundane. Herein A, the material, herein that of the sense sphere is eightfold, being classified according to joy, equanimity, knowledge, and prompting. That is to say, when accompanied by joy, it is either associated with knowledge and unprompted, or 2, prompted, or 3, it is dissociated from knowledge and likewise unprompted, 4, prompted, and 5, when accompanied by equanimity, it is either associated with knowledge and prompted, or 6, unprompted, or 7, it is dissociated from knowledge and likewise unprompted, or 8, prompted. 1. When a man is happy encountering an excellent gift to be given, or a recipient, etc., or some such cause for joy, and by placing right view foremost that occurs in the way beginning, there is merit in giving. He unhesitatingly will and unurged by others perform such merit as giving, etc. Then his consciousness is accompanied by joy, associated with knowledge, and prompted. 2. But when man is happy and content in the way of aforesaid, and while placing right view foremost, yet he does is incessantly through lack of free generosity, etc., or urged on by others, then his consciousness is of some kind of the last, but prompted. But in this sense, prompting is a term for prior effort exerted by oneself or others. 3. But when young children have natural habit due to seeing the behavior of relatives and are joyful seeing bhikkhus at once give them whatever they have in their hands or pay homage, then the third kind of consciousness arises. 4. But when they have like this in being urged by their relatives, pay homage, then the fourth kind of consciousness arises. 5 to 8. But when the consciousness are devoid of joy in these four instances, through encountering no excellence in the gift to be given, or in the recipient, etc., or through want of any such cause of joy, then the remaining four, which are accompanied by equanimity, arises. So, sense sphere profitable consciousness should be understood as of 8 kinds, being classed according to joy, equanimity, knowledge, and prompting. 86. 1b. The consciousness of the fine material sphere is fivefold, being classed according to the association with the jhana factors. That is to say, 9 first is associated with applied thought, a sustained thought, happiness, bliss, and concentration. 10. The second leaves out applied thought. From that, 11. The third leaves out sustained thought. From that, 12. The fourth makes happiness fade away. From that, 13. The fifth is associated with equanimity and concentration, bliss having subsided. 87, 1c, that of the immaterial sphere is fourfold by association with the four immaterial states. For 14, the first is associated with the jhana of base consisting boundless space in the way aforesaid. While 15 to 17 are second, third, and fourth are respectively associated with those of the base consisting boundless consciousness, and so on. To 88, the supermundane is fourfold, 18 to 21, by association with the four parts. So, firstly, profitable consciousness itself is 21 kinds. 2, the unprofitable is one kind of according to plane, being only of the sense sphere. It is 3 kinds of according to the root. A, rooted in greed, B, rooted in hate, and 3, rooted in delusion. 90. Herein, the rooted in greed is 8 kinds, being classed according to joy, equanimity, view, prompting, that is to say, when accompanied by joy, it is either associated with false view and unprompted, or 23 prompted, or 24 is disassociated from false view and likewise unprompted, or 25 prompted, and 26 when accompanied by equanimity, it is either associated with false view and prompted, or 27 prompted, and or 28 it is disassociated from false view and likewise unprompted, or 29 prompted. 22. When a man is happy and content in placing wrong view foremost of the sort beginning, there is no danger in sense desires, and either enjoys sense desires with consciousness that is in its own individual essence, is eager without being urged, or believe auspicious sides, etc., have a real substantial core, that the first kind of unprofitable consciousness arise when it is with consciousness that is sluggish and for urge on, that is, and it is the second kind. But when a man is happy and content only, without placing wrong view foremost, and indulges in sexual intercourse, or covets others' good fortune, or steals other goods, with consciousness that in its own individual essence is eager without being urged, or in the third kind, when it is with the consciousness that is sluggish or urged on, that it is the fourth kind. But when the consciousness are devoid of joy, these 4 instances, through encountering no excellence in the sense desire, or through want of any such cause for joy, then the remaining 4, which are accompanied by equanimity, arise. So, that rooted in greed should be understood as 8 kinds, being class according to joy, equanimity, false view, and prompting. 92. The rooted in hate is 2 kinds, being accompanied by grief and associated with the resentment. It is either prompted or unprompted. It should be understood to occur at times when consciousness either keen if unprompted or sluggish if prompted, in the killing of living beings and so on. C. Rooted in delusion is of 2 kinds, being accompanied by equanimity. It is either associated with uncertainty or associated with agitation. It should be understood to occur at the time of indecision or of distraction. So unprofitable consciousness is of 12 kinds. The indeterminate is of 2 kinds, resultant and functional. Herein, resultant is 4 kinds according to the plane, namely of the sense sphere, B of the fine material sphere, 3 the C of the immaterial sphere, and supermind. Here, that is of the sense sphere is 2 kinds, namely profitable result, B unprofitable result. The profitable result is of 2 kinds, namely without root cause and with root cause. Herein, the without root cause is that devoid of non-greed, etc., as the result of, as the cause of result. It is of 8 kinds, as eye consciousness, ear, nose, tongue, and body consciousness, mind element with function of receiving, the 2 mind consciousness element and the function of investigating, and so on. Herein, eye consciousness has the characteristic of being supported by the eye cognizing visible data. Its function is to have only one visible data as its object. It is manifested as the occupation with the visible data. Its proximate cause is the departure of functional mind element that has visible data at its object. Ear, nose, tongue, and body consciousness, respectively, have the characteristic of being supported by the ear, etc., and of cognizing sounds and so on. Their function are to have only sounds, etc., as their respective object. They are manifested as occupation with respectively sounds and so on. Their proximate cause is the departure of the functional mind element that has respectively sounds, etc., as its object. 39. The resultant. The mind element has the characteristic of cognizing respectively visible data, etc., immediately next to eye consciousness and so on. Its function is to receive visible data and so on, and it is manifested as the state of receiving it corresponding to the last mentioned function. Its proximate cause is the departure of the eye consciousness and so on. Also, the twofold resultant mind consciousness element without root cause, with the function of investigating, etc., has its characteristic, the cognizing of the 6 kinds of object. Its function is that of investigating and so on. It is manifested as a state of investigating corresponding to the last mentioned function. Its proximate cause is the heart basis. But it is classed as according to its association with joy or with equanimity, and according to its being visible into that with 2 position and that with 5 position in the cognitive series. For those 2, 40, one is associated with joy because of the presence when entirely visible object occur, and it has 2 functions, 2 positions in the cognitive series because it occurs as investigating at the 5 doors, as registration at the end of the impulsion. The other kind is associated with equanimity because of its presence, well-desirable neutral object occur, and it has 5 positions since it occurs as investigation, registration, rebirth, linking, life continuum, and death. And these eightfold resultant consciousness without root cause is the 2 kinds of as well because of having an invariable object and variable object. It is of 3 kinds, class according to the bodily pleasure, mental mental joy and equanimity. For the five consciousnesses have each an invariable object, since they occur respectively only with respect to visible data and so on. The other 30 have a variable object. For here, the mind elements occurs with respect to the five beginning with visible data, and the two mind consciousness elements occur with respect to all six. Here, however, body consciousness is associated with bodily pleasure. The mind consciousness element with the true position is associated with mental joy, and the other is associated with equanimity. So, firstly, the profitable resultant without root cause should be understood as 8 kinds. 100. But that with the root cause is that associated with the non-agreed, etc., as the cause of the result. It is of the 8 kinds because it is classed according to joy, etc., like the profitables of the sense sphere, but it does not occur with respect to the 6 objects through giving, etc., as the profitable does, for it occurs only with respect to the 6 objects that are including among limited states as rebirthing, life continuation, death, and registration. But the prompted and unprompted stage should be understood here as due to the source it has come from, and so on. And while there is no difference in the associate states, the resultant should be understood as passive, like the deflection of a face in looking glass, while the profitable is like the face. The unprofitable result, though it is without root cause only, it is of the 7 kinds: eye consciousness, ear, nose, tongue, and body consciousness, mind element with the function of receiving, and mind consciousness element with the function of investigating, etc., and having 5 positions. It should be understood as the characteristics, etc., in the same way as the profitable resultant without root cause. Profitable resultant, though, has desirable neutral object only, while these have undesirable or undesirable neutral object only. The former are of 3 kinds, being classed according to equanimity, bodily pleasure, and mental joy, while these are of 2 kinds, being classed according to bodily pain or equanimity. For here it is only body consciousness that is accompanied by body pain, and the rest are accompanied by equanimity. And the equanimity is in these is inferior and not very sharp, and pain is, while in the former it is superior and not very sharp is the pleasure, as the pleasure is. So with these 7 kinds of unprofitable resultant and the previous 16 kinds of unprofitable resultant, sense sphere resulting consciousness is of 23 kinds. 103. That of the fine material sphere, however, is of 5 kinds, like the profitables. But the profitable occurs in a cognitive series with the impulsion as an attainment of jhana, while this occurs as an existence in the fine material sphere as rebirth, linking, life continuum, and death. 104. And as that of the fine material sphere, as was like profitable of that sphere, so that of the immaterial sphere is 4 kinds, like the profitable too, and its occurrence is classed in the same way as that of the fine material sphere. 105. The supermundane resultant is 4 kinds here because it is respectively the fruition of the consciousness associated with the 4 paths. It occurs 2 ways, that is to say, as fruition in cognitive series of the path and fruition attainment, as fruition attainment. So, resultant consciousness in all of the 4 planes is 36 kinds. 106. The functional, however, is of 3 kinds according to the plane: A, of the sense sphere; B, of the fine material sphere; C, of the immaterial sphere. Here, that of the sense sphere is 2 kinds, namely without root cause and with root cause. Herein, the without root cause is the devoid of non-greed and etc. as the root cause of the result. That is of 2 kinds, being classed as mind element, and mind conscious element. Herein, the mind element has the characteristic of being forerunner of eye consciousness, etc., and cognizing visible data and so on. Its function is to advert. It is manifest as a confrontation of visual data and so on. Its proximate cause is the interruption of the continued occurrence of consciousness of life continuum. It is associated with equanimity only. 108. But the mind consciousness element is of two kinds, namely shared by all and not shared by all. Herein, that shared by all is functional mind consciousness element accompanied by equanimity without root cause. It has the characteristics of cognizing the 6 kinds of object. Its function is to determine at the 5 doors and to advert at the mind door. It is manifested as the states of determining and adverting corresponding to those last mentioned to function. A proximate cause is the departure either of the resultant mind consciousness element without root cause in the first case, or if one among the kinds of life continuum, the second. That not shared by all is functional mind consciousness element accompanied by joy without root cause. It has the character of cognizing 6 kinds of object. Its function is to cause smiling in arhats about things that are not sublime. It is manifested as the state corresponding to that last mentioned function. Its approximate cause is always the heart disease, heart basis. So the sense sphere functional without root cause is of three kinds. 109. That, however, without a root cause is of 8 kinds, like the profitables, being class according to joy and so on, while the profitable arises in trainers and ordinary men only, and this arises arhats only. This is the first difference here. So, firstly, that is of sense sphere is of 11 kinds. That, however, is a fine material sphere, and that of the immaterial sphere are respectively 5 kinds and 4 kinds like the profitables. But they should be understood to differ from the profitable in that they arise only in arhats. So functional consciousness is in the 3 planes is of 20 kinds on all. So the 20 kinds of profitable, 12 kinds of unprofitable, 36 kinds of resultant, and 20 kinds of functional amount in all 89 kinds of consciousness, and these occur in the 14 modes: rebirth linking, life continuum, adverting, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, receiving, investigating, determining, impulsion, registration, and death. 14 modes of currents of consciousness. How so? A. When, through the influence of 8 kinds of sense sphere profitable consciousness, beings come to be born among deities and humans, then the 8 kinds of sense sphere resultant with the root cause occur, and also the resultant mind consciousness element without root cause associated with equanimity, which is the weak profitable result with two root cause in those who are entering upon the state of eunuchs, etc., among human beings. Thus, 9 kinds of resultant consciousness in all occur in rebirth linking, and they do so making their object whichever among the karma, sign of karma, or sign of destiny has appeared at the time of dying, when, through the influence of profitable of the fine material sphere and immaterial sphere, beings are reborn respectively in the fine material and immaterial kinds of becoming, and the 9 kinds of fine material and material resultant occur as a rebirth linking, as they do so making their object only sign of karma, and that has appeared at the time of dying. When, through the influence of unprofitable, they are reborn in a state of loss, and then the one kind of unprofitable resultant, mind consciousness element without root cause, occurs as rebirth linking, and it does so making its object whichever among the karma, sign of karma, and sign of destiny has appeared at the time of dying. This first is how the occurrence 19 kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as rebirth linking. B. When the rebirth linking consciousness cease, then following on, whatever kind of rebirth linking it may be, the same kinds being the result of the same karma, whatever may be occur as a life continuum. Consciousness with the same object, again those same kinds, as long as there is no other kind of arising consciousness to interrupt the continuity, they also go on occurring endlessly in the period of dreamless sleep, etc., like the current of river. This is how the occurrence of the same 19 kinds of consciousness should be understood as life continuum. C. With the life continuum continuity occurring thus, when living beings' faculties have become capable of apprehending an object, then when a visible datum has come to the eye's focus, there is impinging upon the eye's sensitivity due to the visible datum. Thereupon, owing to the impacts of influence, there comes to a disturbance in continuity in life continuum. Then, when the life continuum has ceased, the functional mind element arises, making that same visible datum its object, as it were, cutting off the life continuum and accomplishing the function of adverting. So too is the case of the ear, door, and so on. 116. When an object of any kind of six kinds has come into focus in the mind door, the next to the disturbance of the life continuum, the functional mind consciousness element without root cause arises, accompanied by equanimity, as it were, cutting off the life continuum and accomplishing the function of adverting. This is how the occurrence of the two kinds of functional element consciousness should be understood as adverting. 117. Next to adverting, taking the eye door first, eye consciousness arises, accomplishing the function of seeing in the eye door and having eye sensitivity as a physical basis, and likewise ear, nose, tongue, and body consciousness arise, accomplishing respectively the function of hearing, etc., in the ear, door, etc., and so on. These comprise profitable resultant consciousness with respect to desirable and undesirable neutral object fields, and unprofitable resultant with respect to undesirable and undesirable neutral objective fields. This is how the occurrence of 10 kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. 118. Because of the words ear consciousness having arisen and ceased, next to that there arises consciousness, mind, mentation, which is appropriate mind element, etc., next to eye consciousness, etc., receiving the same objective fields of the deal with the mind element arises as profitable resultant next to the profitable resultant eye consciousness, etc., as the 50, as to unprofitable resultant next to the unprofitable result eye consciousness, and so on. This is how the occurrence of the two kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as receiving. 119. Because the words mind element having arisen and ceased also next to that arises consciousness mind mentation, which is appropriate mind consciousness element, the resultant mind consciousness element without root cause arising investigating the same object field is the received by the mind element. When next to unprofitable resultant mind element, it is unprofitable resultant, and when it is when next to profitable result in mind element, it is neither accomplished by joy in this case of desirable object or accompanied by equanimity in the case of desirable neutral object. This is how the occurrence of the three kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as investigating. Next to investigation, functional mental mind consciousness elements without root cause arises accompanied by the equanimity determining the same objective field. This is how the occurrence of the same one kind of resultant consciousness should be understood as determining. 121. Next to determining if the visible datum, etc., as objects is vivid, then the 6 or 7 impel impel with respect to the object's field of conscious object fields as determined. These are one among eight kinds of sense sphere profitable, or the 12 kinds of unprofitable, or 9 remaining sense sphere functional. This firstly is the way in the case of 5 doors, but in the case of mind door, these same impulsion arise next to 71 mind door adverting. Beyond the stage of changing of lineage, any of the 5 following 26 kinds of impulsion that obtains a condition impels, that is, any kind of 5 unprofitable and the 5 functional or the 5 material sphere, and the 4 profitables and the 4 functional function of the immaterial sphere, and also the 4th path consciousness and 4 fruition consciousness of the supermundane. This is how the occurrence of 55 kinds of profitable, unprofitable, functional, and resulting consciousness should be understood as impulsion. 122. At the end of the impulsion, if the object is very vivid, one in the 5 doors, or is clear in the mind door, then in sense sphere beings, at the end of sense sphere impulsion, resulting consciousness occur through any condition it may have obtained, such as previous karma, impulsion, consciousness, etc., with the desirable, etc. object. It occurs thus as the one among the 8 sense sphere resulting kinds with the root cause, or the 3 resultant mind consciousness elements without root cause, and does so twice or once, following after an impulsion that have impelled, and with respect to an object other than the life continuum's object, like some of the water that follows a little after boat going upstream, although ready to occur with the life's continuous object after impulsion have ended, it nevertheless occurs, making the impulsion object its object. Because of that, it's called registration, having that as its object. This is how the occurrence of 11 kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as a registration. 123. At the end of a registration, life continuum resumes its occurrence. When the resumed occurrence of the life continuum is again interrupted, adverting, etc. occur again. And when the conditions obtain, the consciousness continuity repeats its occurrence as adverting, and next to adverting, seeing, etc., according to the law of consciousness again and again, until the life continuum and one becoming of is exhausted. For the last life continuum consciousness of all in one becoming is called death, because falling from that becoming, that is the 19 kinds of to like rebirth, linking, and life continuum. This is how the occurrence of the 19 kinds of resultant consciousness should be understood as death. And after death there is rebirth, linking again, and after rebirth, linking, life continuum. Thus the consciousness continuity of beings who hasten through the kinds of becoming, destinies, station of consciousness, and abode of being goes on occurring without break. But when a man attains arhatship here, it ceases with the cessation of his death consciousness. This is the section of the detailed explanation dealing with consciousness aggregate. The feeling aggregate. Now, it was said above, whatever has the characteristics of being felt should be understood, all taken together, as the feeling aggregate. And here too, what is said to have occurrence of being felt is feeling itself. According to what is said, it is felt, friend, that is what is called being called feeling. But though it is singlefold according to the individual essence, as the characteristic of being felt is nevertheless threefold as to kind, that is, profitable, unprofitable, and indeterminate. So this is usually called pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Herein, it should be understood as that when associated with profitable consciousness described in the way the beginning, that of the sense sphere is eightfold, being classified according to joy, equanimity, knowledge, and prompting. is profitable. That associated with the unprofitable consciousness is unprofitable. That associated with the indeterminate consciousness is indeterminate. It is fivefold according to the analysis of its individual essence into bodily pleasure and bodily pain and mental joy and mental grief and equanimity. Here, pleasure is associated with the profitable result in body consciousness, and pain with unprofitable result body consciousness. Joy is associated with 62 kinds of consciousness, namely, as to the sense sphere, with 4 kinds of profitable, with 4 resultant of root cause, with the 1 resultant without root cause, and 4 functional with the root cause, and 1 functional without root cause, and with 4 unprofitable, and as to the fine material, with 4 kinds of profitables, and the resultant 4 functional, leaving out that of the 5th jhana in each case, but there is no supermundane without jhana, and consequently the 8 kinds of supermundane, and multiplied by the 5 jhanas makes 40, but leaving out the 8 associated with the 5th jhana, it is associated with the remaining 32 kinds of profitable resultant. Grief is associated with 2 kinds of unprofitable. Equanimity is associated with the remaining 55 kinds of consciousness. Herein, pleasure has the characteristic of experiencing desirable, tangible datum. Its function is to intensify associated with states. It is manifested as a bodily enjoyment. Its proximate cause is the bodily faculty. Pain has the characteristic of experiencing an undesirable, tangible datum. Its function is to whether associate states. It is manifested as a bodily function. Its proximate cause is the bodily faculty. Joy has the characteristic of experiencing a desirable object. Its function is to exploit in one way or the other a desirable aspect. It is manifested as a mental enjoyment. Its proximate cause is a tranquility. Grief has the characteristic of experiencing an undesirable object. Its function is to exploit in one way or another the undesirable aspect. It is manifested as a mental affliction. Its proximate cause is invariably the heart basis. Equanimity has the characteristic of being felt as neutral. Its function is not to intensify whether associate state much. It is manifested as peacefulness. Its proximate cause is consciousness without happiness. This is the section of detailed explanation dealing with a feeling aggregate. The perception aggregate. Now it was said above. Whatever has the character of perceiving should be understood, all taken together as the perception aggregate. And here too, what is said to have the characteristic of perceiving is perception itself, according to said, it perceives a friend, that is why it is called perception. But though it is singlefold according to the individual essence as the characteristic of perceiving, it is nevertheless threefold, as two, that is to say, profitable, unprofitable, indeterminate. Herein, the associated with the profitable consciousness is profitable, that associated with unprofitable consciousness is unprofitable, that is associated with indeterminate consciousness is indeterminate. Such there is no consciousness as dissociated from perception. Perception, therefore, has the same number of division as consciousness, that is to say, 89. But though classed in the same way as consciousness, nevertheless, as to character, etc., it all has just the characteristics of perceiving. Its function is to make sign as a condition for perceiving again that this is the same, or a carpenter's, etc., or do the case of the timbers, and so on. It is manifested as action of interpreting by means of sign as apprehended, like the blind who see an elephant. A proximate cause is an objective field of whatever way that appears, like the perception that in fawns that see scarecrows as men. This is the detailed explanation dealing with perception aggregate. So that's now the formation aggregate, see table 3 and 4. Now, as it was said, whatever has the characteristics of forming should be understood all taken together as the formation aggregate. Formation aggregate is called the volition. And here too, what we call mental formation. But here too, what is said to have a characteristic of forming. Forming is that which has the characteristic of agglomerating. What is that? It is formation themselves, according as it is said, they form the form bhikkhu. That is why they are called formation. They have the characteristic of forming. Their function is to accumulate. They are manifested as intervening. Their approximate cause is remaining 3 material aggregates. So according to characteristic, etc., they are singlefold. And according to kinds, they are threefold, namely profitable, unprofitable, indeterminate. As regards these, when associated with the profitable aggregate, consciousness, they are profitable. When associated with unprofitable, consciousness, unprofitable. When associated with indeterminate, consciousness, they are indeterminate. According to the aggregate, according to association with 89 kinds of consciousness, herein, firstly, those associated with the first sense sphere, profitable consciousness, 1 amount to 36. That is to say, the constant ones, which are 27 given in the text as such, and 4 or whatever states, and also the 5 inconstant ones. Herein, the 27 given as such are: first, contact; 2, volition; 3, applied thought; 4, sustained thought; 5, happiness, interest; 6, energy; 7, life; 8, concentration; 9, faith; 10, mindfulness; 11, conscience; and 12, shame; 13, non-greed; 14, non-hate; 15, non-delusion; 16, tranquility of the mental body; and 17, tranquility of consciousness; 18, lightness of the mental body; 19, lightness of consciousness; 20, malleability of the mental body; 21, malady of consciousness; 22, wilderness of the mental body; 23, wilderness of the consciousness; 24, proficiency of mental body; 25, proficiency of consciousness; 26, rectitude of the mental body; 27, rectitude of concentration. The 4 or whatever states are these: that is zeal, resolution, attention, and specific neutrality. There are 28, 29, 30, 30, 31. And the 5 inconstants are these: 32, compassion; 33, gladness; 34, abstinence from bodily misconduct; 35, abstinence from the verbal misconduct; and 36, abstinence from wrong livelihood. These alas arise sometimes, but not always, and when they arise, they do not do so together. Herein, 1, it touches, thus it is contact. This has the character of touching. Its function is the act of impingement. It is manifested as concurrence. Its proximate cause is the objective field that has come to focus. As to its characteristic, although this is the immaterial state, yet it occurs with respect to an object act of touching too. And as to function, although it is not adherent on any one side, as eye come visible object and ear come sound are, yet it is what makes consciousness and the object impinge. It is said to be manifested as concurrence because it has been described as its own action, namely the occurrence of the 3, that is eye, visible object, and eye consciousness. And it is said to have as its proximate cause an object field that has come into contact, that focus, because it arises automatically through the appropriate consciousness reaction and with the faculty when the objective field is presented. But it should be regarded as like a heightless cow because it is habitat of feeling. feeling. So those, yeah. So those 36 are now being explained. So we just finished one. Just a few more paragraphs. 2, it wills that the volition, it collects its meaning. Its characteristic is state of willing. Its function is to accumulate. It is manifest as coordinating. It accomplishes its own and others' functions as a senior pupil, head carpenter, etc. do. But it is evident when it occurs, it is marshalling, driving of associate state in connection with urgent work, remembering, and so on. 3 and 4. What should be said about applied thought or sustained thought and happiness has already been said in the commentary on the first jhana in the description of earth kachina. 6. Energy is the state of one who is vigorous. Its characteristic is marshalling. Its function is to consolidate connascent state. It is manifest as a non-collapse. Because of the words bestirred, he strives wildly. As its approximate cause is the sense of urgency, or its proximate cause is grounds for intimation of energy. When rightly intimated, it should be regarded as the root of all attainments. 8. By its means they live, for itself lives, or it's just mere living. Thus it is life. But its characteristics should be understood in the way state under material, for that is life of material things, that is life of immaterial things, that this is only difference here. Number 8, it puts consciousness evenly on the object, for it puts it rightly on it, or it is just the mere collecting of the mind. Thus, it is concentration. Its function, its characteristic is non-wandering, or its characteristic is non-distraction. Its function is to conglomerate connascent states as water does by powder. It is manifest as peace. Usually, its approximate cause is bliss. It should be regarded as steadiness of the mind, like the steadiness of the lamp's flame when there is no drought. 9. By its means, they have faith. They have faith, or it itself is having faith, or it is just the act of having faith. Thus, it is faith. Its characteristic is having faith, or its characteristic is trusting. Its function is to clarify, like a water clearing gem, or its function is to enter into, like the setting out across a flood. It is then manifest as a non-fogginess, or it is manifest as a resolution. Its approximate cause is something to have faith in, or its approximate cause is things beginning with hearing the good Dhamma that constitute the factors of stream entry. It should be regarded as a hand, because it takes hold of profitable things as wealth and as seed. 10. By its means they remember, or itself remember, or it is just mere remembering. Thus it mindfulness. It has the characteristic of not wobbling. Its function is to not forget. It is manifest as guarding, or manifest as the state of confronting an objective field. Its approximate cause is strong perception, or its proximate cause is not a foundation of mindfulness concerned with the body, and so on. It should be regarded as, however, like a pillar, because it is firmly founded, or as like a doorkeeper, because it guards the eye door, and so on. We'll stop there. Yeah, they're explaining those 36. Okay, thank you everyone. we do the dedication. Mahayana Jija whatever mere I have ever may hope becomes and lovers to the Mahayana Jija courage as a mandabara de lava follow it oh the zambu aja de go de mere de zelem body jeda tebe where no yadanza where has been bohmering freely without generation. Thank you, everyone.